But before they came into office, they kept on telling us what they were going to do, how they were going to go about it. Why do you think the narrative changed when they then got there?
Well, two things happened. Inevitably, you will discover that someone said once, what got you here won't get you there. You discover that when you get into that scenario, you will discover things that you did not anticipate. One of the easiest things to do is to be a critic. In fact, I'm always jokingly saying that activists make the worst leaders. If you see a guy who is a serious activist, you have to persuade me that I would vote him to be leader because it's easy to sit on the side and cap. Now, when you get into office, you discover that there are issues you did not anticipate. You discover problems you did not know were there. And you also discover sometimes why the previous people got stuck in certain things which you did not know about. So there's inevitable that. However, the question is this. When you make that promise, you must also, one key thing I was discussing with my children yesterday, that leaders must have is humility. A willingness to agree, okay, I'm still set on my target, but I've run into what I did not expect.
And
now I need help.
You know what I think? That you talked about continuity, which we really haven't seen much of here in Nigeria. I'm quite sure you would also be amazed when you saw President Obama retain, was it Gates?
Yeah.
Yes, the defense secretary, a couple of other people that have served in the Republican government. A few of them continued with him in his administration, even though a Democrat. That kind of cut, dissection, non-continuity with some key experts in some key sectors haven't actually happened in our politics.
Yes, it hasn't. There are two reasons for it. Number one, to a large extent, our leadership understanding is more about position than about objectives. And I've said that many times, and it's not restricted to this administration, so it's not an administration problem. It's a problem that the way we interpret what leadership involves. What has happened a lot of times is that because our focus has been more on people and the attainment of the position, that is, a man becomes a minister in Nigeria, and it becomes a celebration, and you have a lot of congratulation messages on the newspapers because it's an attainment. Now, as long as it looks like a chieftaincy title, the achievement of it, therefore, has got to be allocated probably based on patronage. Because even if Mr. President woke up tomorrow and said, I'd like to keep somebody from this, and this group, his own party will go on strike. Because basically we fought them so that we could attain this position. We didn't fight them so that we could change the Nigerian. Our objectives are what determine what we end up doing. So we have a situation in Nigeria where that has been the order of the day. And the result of that, therefore, is that you find out that, one, it affects the continuity issue. But there is a bigger issue it affects. It affects our commitment to searching for solutions. I mean, I tell you something about it. When a man has a solution for a problem at the top of his list, whatever happens is that even if his enemy walks by and mumbles the solution to his problem, he runs after his enemy and says, can you help me out? But when the solution is not the top of your parade, or the third thing which has led to it is a lack of understanding of how issues are solved in Nigeria. One of the things that you give the Americans credit for, which I've always loved about their nation, is that they would headhunt anybody who can bring in ideas that can solve the problem. They work out to try and create environments for what you would call a fostering of ideas.
Oh, here we're bogged down.
Here we
nepotism,
we're bogged down with issues and we're bogged down with the idea that what somebody, the former president of Harvard University called, we're bogged down with the idea of supremacy rather than the supremacy of ideas. And there are two different things. If the supremacy ideas is what drives you fundamentally, then you are open to a fervent discussion that brings out the best ideas. In this nation as we stand, and I've said that many, many times, you look at our economic situation, we need to begin to say to people, not necessarily only those who are spoken for. Let me give you an example. Government makes a policy on economics, and that's why I listen to the environment leader talking. You made a policy on environment, but the people you are making a policy for on the environment have not been engaged to understand the implications of this environmental thing. And so when you see a man who is from the Niger Delta damage the pipeline and release oil over his own land that will affect his great-grandchildren, what it reflects is that he does not understand the implications. It's not a question of you've not informed him. You see, there's a difference between information and understanding. information.
So it goes back to understanding.
Yes, he has not been engaged enough to the fact that he has now developed a motivation from what he has seen.
Who should engage him?
That's where leadership comes in. You see, everybody can, and I've always said everybody is a leader, one way or the other. But there is an advantage that those in government have, is that they have a platform. And leadership is better according to your platform, because leadership is about your influence. And if anybody who has been in drama knows that the man who is on the stage has a bigger influence than the man sitting in the front row, because most people see him. And that's been the challenge. But to do that effectively, the leaders must have certain things. They need to understand what leadership is. They need to understand who are the people they are engaging. And they need to avoid what I would call the tyranny of the urgent, or what you call the situation where you get satisfied with giving us nice explanatory notes that are theoretical. They may be correct, but which half of us don't understand. And the fact that we don't understand it, therefore, means that we will not follow you, and will look at whatever you are saying with suspicion. Now, that's the challenge that government needs to address. And if they need to put together a think tank to address how to address that problem, then they need to get that done, and get that done fast. Because the people on the street, whether rightly or wrongly, have the feeling that the government is not concerned about the things that concern them.
That's a good place to anchor, with the people. Mr. Adetokunbo Obayan, leadership consultant. Always a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you.
Well, this is where we also draw the curtains on the show. Today we thank you for watching and for your comments as well. We'll be back tomorrow. I'm Chamberlain Oso.
I'm Nell Tarigwe. Thank you for watching.
Many thanks. I'm Sulaiman. I'll let us see you again.